gamers, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to fly the Citation X in X-Plane Mobile. This tutorial is basically for X-Plane Mobile. So if you're playing this game and you want to learn how to fly this aircraft, just make sure you watch this video to the end. There are a lot of tips that you might need to listen to that will actually help you to fly this aircraft properly, because we'll be doing a cold and dark startup to take off and cruise, and we're also going to do the landing. If you have not subscribed to my channel, this is More Games channel, so make sure you subscribe. A lot of X-Plane features, a lot of X-Plane videos are coming up on my channel. Alright, so let's get right into the cockpit. Alright, so we have a cold and dark system here. The first thing you want to do is to check for your parking brake. Make sure your parking brake is set. It is set by default, but you can just, it is recommended that you release the parking brake and set it again, just to make sure that it is in a good condition. Now let's hide our yoke here. Now, as you can see, all the controls are in front of the captain and the first officer. There is no control at the overhead panel. So now this is the first thing we're going to do is to turn on the battery. This is the DC power panel. Here we have the battery 1 and the battery 2. Just flip the switch upwards. Battery 1, battery 2. Once that is done, just go ahead to your APU panel here. The APU panel is to the right of the aircraft. You can see APU system. And this is your APU master switch. Turn it to on. And now we are going to start the APU. So how do we start the APU? It's just like in the Boeing 737. So just hold this knob here, flip it up, wait for till the RPM gets to 10 and release. And then you have to wait for the RPM to get to about 100 before you can go ahead with the APU generator and the APU bleed. Let's give it a second. There we go. Alright, now you can turn on the APU generator and the APU bleed. Now next, you want to turn on all your cabin pressures. Just flip all this knob here to the center position, so you avoid so that we avoid any pressure warnings. We don't want any pressure warnings during our flight. Now we're going to turn on the navigation lights, turn on the tail and logo lights, and we're going to turn on the anti-collision lights. Now once that is done, as you can, we are going to come back to the DC power panel here. You can see avionics and AICAS, that's the ICAS. Turn on your avionics, and that will bring on all the system. It will make all the system to come alive. Then turn on your avionics ICAS. I don't know if I pronounce it right. Now this is your ICAS screen right here. Now once your avionics is on and the ICAS is on, come down to this ICAS display and move it to electric. Just click on the third button here. It will move to the electric mode, where you can see the DC voltage, the DC amplifiers, the battery, and the battery V. Now all our systems are alive and everything looks good. Now the next, you're going to move your thrust here to idle. Now this thrust you're seeing here for this aircraft, the thrust has, the idle part has two phases. Now there is a cutoff position and there is the idle position. Currently by default the thrust is in the cutoff position. When you have the aircraft in the cutoff position, you will not be able to start the aircraft. Cutoff position means that all the engines are not going to fuel is not going to be supplied to the engines. I believe that's what it means, because at this position you cannot get fuel to the engine, which means your engine cannot start up. So at this point you're going to make sure your thrust is set to idle, like this. This is the cutoff position, this is the idle position. When you're in the cutoff position, when you hold the knob like this, you swipe up and move it a little bit, and there you go. That's the idle position. Make sure you have your thrust at the idle position. Now we're going to go ahead and set up our FMC. I want you to look at this setup very carefully, because the FMC for this aircraft is actually very complicated. It's very tricky, if I should say. It's very tricky. So but if you followed my steps one at a time, you're going to get it right and you're going to be able to set it properly. First of all, we're going to clear the message. Nav data out of date. Now you can see POS init here. Select the POS init. It will show you your bearings for your GPS. Just select the bearings, the last one there, and it will impute automatically. There's nothing else to do there. Now we're going to go ahead and set up our flight plan. Click on this flight plan here. Now our departure airport is Lome. We are flying from Lome to Lagos for this tutorial. I don't know if I said that earlier. We are flying from Lome to Lagos. We are doing a short flight for this tutorial. Now first of all, as usual, you have to know the ICAO code for your departure airport and for your arrival airport. Let me reduce the radio, it seems to be too loud. There you go. Now our ICAO code for departure airport is BXXX, and for arrival airport is going to be DNMM. Delta November Mike. Insert that into the destination panel here, and as you can see, this departure select just pumped up here, just popped up. It wasn't there before. Once you insert your destination airport, this departure is going to come on. Select departure. We're going to be departing with runway 04, and our departure seed is, I'm scrolling through the pages now. I'm going to the next page. Our departure seed is Mike Oscar November Oscar 1 November to your right here, and then activate. Now as you can see, we have the departure procedures on the FMC. Now one thing you must note for the FMC or FMS of this aircraft, you have to close your flight plan before you can set the arrival airport. If you don't close your flight plan, you will not be able to set your arrival airport. You will not even be able to configure your performances, your takeoff performance, your cruise and everything. So how do you close your flight plan? It's very simple. Just scroll to the end of once you have imputed your departure procedure, just scroll to the end until you're no more seeing any waypoints. We are going to add the destination airport as a waypoint. Make sure you don't skip this. This is very important. You're going to add the destination airport as a waypoint, as one of the waypoints, and it has to be the last one. So I'm just going to click the line select key next to the destination here, and it's going to automatically generate that airport on the scratch pad. Then I'll click on the line select key next to waypoint, the empty waypoint space, and you see it is sorry, and you see it is automatically generated. Now the destination airport is now as if it's a waypoint here. This is how to close your flight plan. Make sure you do this before proceeding to do any other thing. Alright, next you can go back to your flight plan. Now on the right you can see performance init. You can go to the init by clicking the button there and go to the next page. Now the performance init has 5 pages here, as you can see. This first page is showing you the performance mode, the ACFT type. Next page is showing us the performance init, the climb, the cruise, and the descent. And the next phase is showing us the step increments. Step increment is like phases of increment, where let me say your target altitude is 23,000 feet. The aircraft will be going from 2,000 to 4,000, and I think that's what it means. The next page is the transition altitude. Our transition altitude is 3,500. I'm going to insert that. Now our initial cruise altitude is flight level 230. That's going to be our cruise altitude. Then you go to the next page, you're going to see your fuel gauge. Now this is also very important. All you have to do is to click the line select key next to the dash you're seeing there, and it will the current fuel that you have will automatically generate on the scratch pad. As you can see, fuel flow paths, we have 8,500, and that is what is generated here. So just click the same line select key again, it will automatically populate. Now we are getting a message to enable cruise altitudes. That tells us that the cruise altitude I inputted earlier is too high. So let's try something lower. I will do flight level 210. Okay, that seems good to go. So we're going to be cruising at an altitude of 21,000 feet. Now you can see a message that just popped up. It said confirm init. Click on that. Now once you click on confirm init, the FMS is going to take you to the performance data. The performance data has 4 phases as well. It has 4 phases: the cruise, the destination information, and all of that. So just at the first page, that is where you can move to the next thing we have there, which is a takeoff. This is your takeoff init. Your takeoff init is looking good. It has 4 pages as well. Click on the next page to see all the information. Our takeoff runway is 04 at Delta X-ray. That's all the information imputed automatically. Our runway condition is dry. If it's wet, you can select wet by yourself. Now our takeoff flaps is going to be flaps 15. No, our takeoff flaps is going to be flaps 5. So I'm going to select 5 there. And then I'm going to confirm init. Now the next phase is going to be the climb. The climb just has 1 page, and then we go over to the cruise. As you can see, the cruise altitude which I inputted earlier is here already. Then go to the descent. All these things is automatically generated once you input on the performance init. It will automatically generate all this information for you. The next is a landing, and then it will take you back to flight plan. If you want to go back to the performance page, this is a performance button here. Select it, select performance init, and then you see every of the information that was imputed earlier right here. Alright, everything looks good. Now after this, the next thing you want to do is to configure your arrival. You can see our flight plan here is already generated. This is our waypoint, but we don't have the arrival procedure yet. So to configure your arrival, click on the nav button next to the nav button after performance. Select that. Now you can see arrival. There's departure, there's arrival, and the rest. Select arrival. Now we're going to select the arrival runway. Our arrival runway is runway 18 right. Select that. ILS 18 right. Now we're going to select our star, the last key to your left, you can see. Select the star. Our arrival star is Tango Yankee Echo 1 November. Selecting that, and then the activate button will pop up. Click on activate. Now our arrival is activated. Go to performance data. Sorry, go back to your flight plan. Now let's see what we have there. You can see our arrival is now populated down to our flight plan is now populated down to the arrival section. Now next we're going to clear the discontinuities. To clear the discontinuity is very easy. Just click on delete. Now you have to be very careful with this. Make sure you're not clicking discontinuity on the waypoint. Make sure you're clicking the dash. You can see the dash on the screen. Make sure you're clicking the line select key next to dash that has something like then there. I don't know what it is. Click it and the discontinuity will clear. The next page is another discontinuity. Click on delete and click that line. And there it is. Now our flight plan is successfully populated from the runway and our waypoint is populated as well. You can also input your waypoints manually if you want. After you've inputted your arrival, your departure airport and your destination airport, you can input your waypoints manually, but I don't like to do it manually because most times it tells me that it's not accepted or something like that. So I just take the waypoints that the FMC is generating for me, and that works as well. Alright, so that's all for now. So next we are going to set up the autopilot. Now our cruise altitude according to what we have here is 21,000 feet. So we want to move. This is your altitude knob here, altitude select right here. We're going to move that knob until we get to the 21,000 feet. How do you know you've gotten to 21,000 feet? We're going to have the display up here. So let's do that. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while, so we're going to keep scrolling. Let's see where we are now. We're currently at 6,800. It's not possible to be looking at the screen there and be tuning this thing at the same time. You have to tune and check what figure you are. Oh, alright, just close enough. Now we're just gonna go back a little bit. You just have to make sure you have the same figure as generated in your FMC. Make sure you're not below or above that. Alright, there we go, 21,000 feet, just like in our FMC. And another thing to do, which is very important, we have two navigations for this aircraft. There are two navigation types. The first one is the nav and the second one is the FMS. Navigation type, I mean the particular kind of navigation that the autopilot is going to follow. Are you telling the autopilot to follow what you configure in the FMS or just to navigate? So basically all you have to do after this point, select FMS, and as you can see everything here has turned to magenta. Earlier on it was on blue like this, but when you select FMS it will turn to magenta. There it is. Now when you take off and you turn on the autopilot is going to follow what you imputed in the FMC. If you don't do this, if you don't put this in the FMC mode, it is not going to, your autopilot is not going to work properly as expected. So make sure you don't miss that part. Now there's something that I skipped. For our performance we have the takeoff, our takeoff, you can see the V1, V2 and VR. If you want this figures here to appear on the screen, okay, it seems it's already appearing anyway. But in case you don't have yours appearing, come to this screen here, select V speed, the last key here, then select takeoff speed. And once you select takeoff speed, it's going to display on your PFD here. Alright, everything looks good and we are set to go. Oh, that's the emergency brake. Everything looks good, we are set to go. So now we are going to push back. If you follow these procedures just like I'm showing you, flying this aircraft is going to be very easy for you, and you're going to be able to take off and land in any aircraft. Let's wait for the pushback truck. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Let me go over some things again. Important features you need to note. Make sure your thrust is set to idle for your engine start. Make sure after setting up your FMC, change the navigation mode to FMC so that the autopilot will follow the FMC. Alright, pushback choke is ready. We're going to release parking brake. I don't know what's going on. Alright, parking brake released. Now starting up the engine for this aircraft is quite simple. Once you have your thrust set to idle, all you have to do is to press this button here. You can see engine start on the screen. Engine starts left and right, so just press the right button. We're going to start with the right engine. As you can see, the N1 is coming on. Come on, Mr. Pushback, continue. As you can see, the N1 is coming on, the ITT is coming on, everything is coming on. Mind you, if you don't have your thrust at idle, the engine is not going to start. It's going to get to a particular point and it's going to start going down. So make sure your thrust is on idle before hitting the start button. Your thrust for both engine 1 and engine 2. Alright, now we can go ahead and start engine 1. Just press the button for like 2 seconds. There you go. N1 coming on. The pushback truck is doing a very great job without an actual driver inside the truck. Alright, pushback is concluded. Now we're going to set the parking brake. Parking brake set. Now we're going to turn on the left and right engine. This is the left and right engine here. LH gen and RH gen. Just flip that switch to on, like that. Flip this one too to on as well. That will turn on the left and right engine. Now once you've done that, you're going to come to the auxiliary pump here and switch it on. Now you can turn off your APU. Just flip the starter switch to stop, and the APU is going to start coming down. There you go. It's recommended that you wait for the RPM to get to 0. But if you don't want, you can just go ahead and turn off the generator and the bleed. Alright, now just turn off your APU generator and turn off your APU bleed, then turn off the APU master. That's all. Now I just realized we didn't run the test. It's not very important, but if you have the time, once you've turned on your ECAS and the avionics, make sure you run some tests. I'm going to show you the test that we have here. We have the APU test button here. It's not making any sound, but that's a test. We have the AHRS test here, and we also have the standby power test. And when you come to your panel here, you can see all these ones are actually making sound. The smoke test, the landing gear test, the fire test. This is the stall test, the overspeed test, the flap test. Now there are a lot of tests to run, so if you want to do something realistic, make sure you run the test once your ECAS and avionics is on. Alright, let's proceed. Our APU is off, so the next thing we're going to do is to turn on our seatbelt sign. Turn on your seatbelt sign. Turn on your taxi light. Taxi light is right here under the truss. In case you're looking for a taxi light, the taxi light is under the truss. Turn it on. We're going to set our trim here to take off. This right here, this black button here, is the trim button, and this is the trim display. You can see the star -6.4. For takeoff, the trim takeoff is -6.0 for this aircraft. So what we're going to do is to bring it down. Okay, we're gonna bring it down to 6.0 for takeoff. That's the elevator trim. Are we going up or down? Oh, now we are 5.8. It has to be 6.0, guys. 5.9, 6.0. Yes, so now we have the trim settings set for takeoff. That is the takeoff settings for the trim. Make sure you have the takeoff settings set to takeoff. I mean the trim settings. Now next is to set your flaps. We're going to be taking off with flaps of 5 degrees as indicated earlier. This is your flaps display here. You can see the icon is moving. Now we have a takeoff of flaps. We have our flaps set for takeoff. Alright, so once that is done, also after your engine is started, make sure you have your CTR wing set to normal and your fuel pumps set to normal. Once your engine is started and your APU is off, set your CTR wing to normal, set your fuel boosts, your fuel pumps to normal, and now you can see that all the warning signs are eradicated. Now everything is looking just fine. Now finally we are going to do our flight controls check. We're going to do full left, full right, full up and down. We have to hide the yoke just so we can have a complete look of the buttons here. Alright, I'm just going through everything here to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything, to make sure everything is well to do. Now at this point you can just go ahead and turn on your nav and VNAV, but we're not turning on the autopilot. Just make sure your nav and VNAV is on. You can go ahead and turn on your nav and VNAV just like I did, and everything is looking good. Now the last thing we need to do is to set our transponder. You can actually tune it manually in the FMC here. You can just go to your nav, go to tune. For navigation 1 we have 115.30 for this airport. For navigation 2 you can just tune the same pin, 115.30. I hope that's correct. Let me see. Okay, that's correct, 115.30. So you can do it manually in the FMC. You don't need to slide from the side of the screen. And as you can see, we have our VOR set. Our transponder is set like that. Now let's go ahead and taxi to the runway. Release parking brakes. Oh, release parking brakes. Speed brakes armed. There's no armed position for the speed brakes, and over here is just saying speed brakes, so we're just going to leave it that way. Let's go ahead and taxi to the runway 04. If you have gotten to this point, you have any questions, make sure you drop it in the comment section. I will be answering all your questions, guys. All your questions, I will be answering them. Alright guys, here we are at the holding point runway for departure, runway 04. So all we're going to do here, we're going to turn off the taxi lights, turn off the taxi lights, turn on the landing lights like that. Now you're going to go ahead and turn on your recognition lights. It's also dimmed landing lights. Now for takeoff, we're going to turn on our anti-ice for the pilot and for engine 1 and 2. Everything looks good to go. Our transponder is set to, we have to make sure our transponder is set to ATC like that. It's set to ATC, and you have to make sure your flaps is set to 5 degrees for takeoff, and there it is. So let's fly. Now let's line up with the runway 04. Now we also have to make sure that our altimeter is set, our altimeter for takeoff. I'm going to set that. Just make sure you bring down the altimeter to 0 because we are currently on ground. You can see the NAG logo there. Make sure you get it to that point. Alright, now we are good to go. V1, rotate. Gear up.
Too low, gear. 200. Too low, gear.
Flaps up. Now the departure SID for this airport is quite complicating. It's not really connected to the waypoints, especially the first waypoint is not very connected. So I'm trying to line up properly before I turn on the autopilot. Line up properly with the that waypoint over there. Now let's go ahead and turn on the autopilot. Let's see what happens. Now as you can see, the aircraft is now following the autopilot. The magenta line is going phase by phase as it is intercepting with a waypoint. The next waypoint is going to be highlighted in magenta, and then it's going to start following the waypoints. Everything is looking just fine. So now we are climbing to 21,000 feet, and our speed is 200, and we are expected to be going at 250 knots. Now I must tell you something. This aircraft does not have auto throttle. You have to manually throttle the airplane. It does not have auto throttle. So even though the VNAV is available, there is no auto throttle. So you have to make sure that you are setting the thrust as it is supposed to be. As you throughout the aircraft, you have to adjust the thrust by yourself. There's no auto throttle for this aircraft. The rate of climb is very high here, 4,100. When setting your thrust, you just have to follow the FMC. You can see the speed you are supposed to be is 270 knots. So or you have to manually set your thrust. If you have to reduce the thrust, you reduce it. If you have to increase the thrust, you increase it. The aircraft is going to follow the navigation, but it's not going to automatically set the thrust for you like other aircrafts. Now we're currently heading to a waypoint of Mike Oscar November Oscar Sierra, and we are expected to be at that waypoint in 14 nautical miles. And we are currently at 13,000 feet. Now we are going to turn off our lights. We are going to turn off the landing lights. We are going to turn off the seatbelt sign. Landing lights and seatbelt sign. Now I'm going to be pausing the video till we get to our top of climb. I will be doing basically nothing. When we get to the top of climb, I will show you how the aircraft is going to maintain the particular altitude. This altitude button here is automatically, the altitude button here will automatically illuminate here to tell you that the aircraft is now has gotten to the point of the top of climb. Alright, see you at the top of climb. Alright, we are just about 500 feet away from our top of climb. Now you're going to see, once we have gotten to our top of climb, the altitude light here automatically illuminated itself. That tells you that the aircraft is going to maintain that 21,000 feet until we get to our top of descent, which is quite okay. Now currently my thrust is set to cruise. At this point, you're going to make sure your thrust is set to cruise. Let's see. Alright, you have to manually adjust the thrust. Now currently my thrust is set to cruise and we are cruising at 21,000 feet. Like I said earlier, if you have any questions, make sure you drop it in the comment section. Now we're going to check our progress page here. You can see that on the second FMC I navigated to the progress page. Our top of descent is in 30 nautical miles, just like you are seeing on your screen. In case you don't know how to navigate to the progress page, if you're on the flight plan page like this, just click on this button. Click on the progress button here and it will take you to the progress page. The progress page has about 3 phases. The first one will show you your departure airport, distance away from your departure airport and to your destination. And the second phase is going to show you your top of climb and your top of descent. And the third phase is showing you your wind and your XTR error and everything you need to see. So I like to stay on the top of climb and top of descent so that I will know exactly when to start descending. Now actually this aircraft descends automatically. All you have to do is to reduce the descent figure here, the imputed descent figure, and reduce your thrust to idle settings, and then the aircraft will automatically descend. At cruise altitude we can turn off the anti-ice. Now we're pausing the video till we get to our top of descent for this flight. See you there. Alright guys, here we are. We are just 4 nautical miles away from our top of descent. Now we're going to go ahead and reduce the altitude figure here. We're going to bring it down to our transition altitude of 3,500. 1 nautical miles away. Now the aircraft is going to automatically start descending. All you have to do is to bring your thrust to the idle position so that the aircraft can start descending from there. There you go. Let's bring this down to 5,000. Okay, the descent is supposed to start by now. I don't know why it's not started. Let's turn off the altitude here and let's see if it's going to start. Okay, there you go. The descents have started. Alright, it seems you have to turn off the altitude hold automatically. That's very weird. The aircraft is supposed to automatically disengage the altitude hold and start descending. But just in case you have the same bug like I did, just turn off the altitude hold and then the aircraft will start descending. For our descent, I'll turn off anti-ice for the left and right engine. I'm trying to set the altitude here to 3,500, which is our transition altitude. We're currently at 3,100. Alright, there it is, 3,500. We are currently descending to our destination. We are descending to a waypoint of Mike 504. And after that waypoint, we're going to start intercepting with our glide slope. For your descent, all you have to do once again is to reduce your thrust, bring your thrust to the idle position, and change your altitude figure down here to your transition altitude, or you can even bring it down to 0 if you want, but just make sure you reduce the altitude. The aircraft will automatically start descending. And in case if it doesn't start descending automatically, just turn off the altitude indication there. Just like in my own case, it was supposed to start descending and it wasn't descending. Now for our destination, we are 52 nautical miles away from our destination. Our next waypoint is ABSEX. There's no need to pause the video, we're already close to our destination, so just follow up with this video, follow my steps just like I'm showing you. We're supposed to be at a speed of 270 knots and we are currently at 245, which is not too bad. So maybe we could just add a little thrust just to catch up with that speed, or you can just leave it like that, because below 10,000 feet you're supposed to be at 250 and we're currently at 11,000 feet. Now we are below 10,000 feet. We're going to go ahead and turn on the seatbelt sign. We're going to turn on the landing lights. Now there is something important that you need to note. Once you are facing the runway, you're gonna have to change the navigation mode from FMS to nav, so that the aircraft will be configured into the ILS configuration, so that the aircraft will be able to follow an ILS approach. If you are on FMS, you're not going to see your glide slope. So we're going to be moving from SMS to nav once we face the runway, so that we can have an ILS approach. Take note of that. We are currently at 8,600 feet at Echo Bravo Sierra Echo X-ray. We are supposed to be at 5,000 feet. If you check your FMC, as you can see, we're supposed to be at 5,000 feet. So that means the autopilot is working perfectly fine as it's supposed to. Now our speed is a bit too high. I'm going to reduce it. You have to be watching your FMC. Note the speed you're supposed to be and know when to increase or reduce your thrust. Now at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and tune our navigation for the arrival. Let's see if we can do it manually here. Tune navigation 1. Our navigation for arrival is 118. Okay, that's not showing here yet. So I'm going to do that manually. If you're using Explain Mobile, just slide the right of your screen, select your arrival runway. This is our arrival runway here. Tune navigation 1 and navigation 2, 108.10. As you can see, that is already tuned here. Make sure you tune those two navigations for your arrival. Everything is looking just fine. We hope to have a very nice ILS approach. Let's set our flaps. Let's begin bringing down the flaps 5 degrees. We are just one waypoint away from lining up with the runway. Now we are below 5,000 feet. You have to constantly check your speed. Make sure you're not moving too fast or too slow. That is our attitude climb. When you're 1000 feet away from your altitude, your imputed altitude here, you're going to hear that kind. Either you're 1000 feet before or 1000 feet after, you're going to hear the kind. Now once we turn to the runway, I'm going to be moving our navigations from FMC to nav so that we can capture the glide slope. Alright, now we are turning to the runway. I want you to watch closely exactly how I'm going to capture the glide slope for this aircraft. It's a bit tricky, but we are going to get it. There you go. Now as you can see, we are lined up with the runway. So I'm going to change our navigation from FMS to nav like this. And then I'm going to hit the approach. Turn off the altitude, hold there. I'm going to hit the approach button here. Now this blue icon here is your glide slope. As you can see, the aircraft has actually captured it. The aircraft has captured the glide slope. Is that simple, guys. It's that simple. Once you're lined up with your runway, change your navigation from FMS to nav, and then your glide slope, and then turn on approach, and then your glide slope will be captured. Now let's go ahead and gear down, set more flaps. Let's go 15 degrees. Now at this point I'm going to activate the spoilers. Speed brakes activated. The blue icon you're seeing, the tiny blue icon you're seeing there, is your glide slope, like I said earlier. So make sure you're adjusting, make sure you capture the glide slope. Follow the procedures just like I did, and you are going to capture your glide slope. That is our runway there. Once you see the GS on green, that means your glide slope is captured. And about 500 feet, make sure you disengage the autopilot. Let's go full flaps. Here the altitude climb, we're at 1000 feet. Now I need to recalibrate this for the landing.
500.
There you go, 500 feet. Now disengage the autopilot.
400. 300. 200. 100. Light slow. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
All right, the landing was not very we were not properly lined up because of the tilting on this Android is quite bad. But I believe you get exactly how to land. Once you disengage your autopilot, try and land and line up with the runway. Make sure you disengage at least 500 nautical miles away from, or 500 feet away from your runway. Let's watch a replay of that landing. Alright guys, so that's basically it. I believe you understood how to capture ILS approach, how to land, how to take off and everything. So now we're going to go ahead and taxi to the gate. I'll be pausing the video till we taxi to the gate. Once you land like this, just retract your flaps back to 0 degrees and eject your spoilers. And once you exit the runway, you turn off the runway lights and turn on your taxi lights. Alright guys, here we are. If you're flying this aircraft, make sure you're parking at the gate that's designated for jets. I'm currently parking at a gate designated for a big passenger aircraft. That's not supposed to be so, but I'm just doing it. This is just a sim. But make sure you're parking at a gate that is provided for jets like this. This is Lagos Airport. We are parking at gate D43. The alarm you're hearing is probably a bug. After the replay, the alarm started coming on. That means it's a bug. There you go. Alright guys, so that is basically all you need to do after landing. That is basically how to land this aircraft. So for your parking, just make sure your parking brake is on. That's the on position, sorry. Once your parking brake is on, make sure your thrust is set to cut off. I think that will automatically turn off the engines. Oh, there it is. And your seatbelt signs and your, let's turn on our seatbelt sign, turn off the seatbelt sign, turn off the FTR wing cipher, turn them off. We're gonna turn off our fuel boost, and we're gonna turn off the ignition, and then we're gonna turn off the engine's generator. Turn off the avionics and the ECAIAs, and go ahead and turn off the battery 1 and battery 2. And now you're back to the cold and dark state. Alright, that's all for this video. If you found this video really helpful, please guys subscribe to my channel. I'll be uploading more contents like this, so please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.